The film starts with a young man with truly lengthy hair named Jacob Tremblay, letting us know how he came into the ownership of his mom, who we just know as Mama, Brie Larson, through television individuals in space and him tumbling from paradise. He awakens and expresses greetings to everything in the little broken-down room he imparts to his mom. The seat, the cabinet, the inkblot on the floor covering. Jack is energized in light of the fact that today is his 5th birthday celebration. His mother lets him know they will make him a birthday cake. They go all through their typical day. She leads him through yoga practice in their little washroom. She inspires him to practice by advising him to contact this wall. No, I implied this wall. Mama noticed a terrible toothache. Around evening time, Mama heats the cake. Because of the restricted assets, it turns out to be tiny and not great. Jack inquires as to why there are no candles with fire. She lets him know they can't get them. He is upset and won't eat the cake, telling her she might have requested candles from Old Scratch for their Sunday treat rather than pants like last time. She says she gets things they need for Sunday treat. He says perhaps he'll request candles for when he turns 6 1 week from now. She lets him know he turns 6 1 year from now. It gets late and Jack goes into a minuscule pantry where he dozes. Old Scratch comes in and we see him momentarily according to Jack's perspective, through the supports. Scratch inquires as to whether he realized the kid had a birthday. He would have brought a present. Mama's little bed starts to squeak as they engage in sexual relations off-screen. Jack just considers increasingly high this goes on. The following morning, Jack tracks down his mother in bed. They go all through their ordinary day. She cuts apple cuts and her awful tooth emerges. She gives it to Jack, who keeps it in his mouth. He stares at the television on a CRT TV and discusses the television individuals, which he considers are some type of outsiders. Mama shows Jack, instructing him on different subjects. He cleans up. Jack gripes that his mother didn't let Old Scratch know that it was his birthday and that Scratch would have brought a present. Mama lets him know he was lying. She makes him supper, which is only a piece of toast. He inquires as to whether he can have another thing to eat, yet she doesn't answer, bothered at her restricted assets. The following morning, Ray's wakes and sees a shiny new controller race vehicle for him. He plays with everything around the small room, causing Ma a deep sense of disturbance. With the spin of the race vehicle making commotion, Mama starts shouting up at the roof, which we see is fixed with soundproof material. There are no windows in the room except for just a single lookout window showing the blue sky above. Jack starts educating his mother concerning his pet canine, Fortunate, and how he can hardly hold on to be brought together with him. His mother lets him know he created Fortunate in his mind and that they have no canine. Jack sees a mouse in the kitchen and attempts to become friends with it, however Mama drives him off. Jack is disturbed, yet Mama makes sense of that the mouse could eat their food or chomp them when they rest. He tells her she didn't need to kill it and she says she didn't. It went to the terrace with his loved ones. Jack doesn't have any idea what she implies. That evening, Mama is making cheddar sandwiches. Jack asks what smells interesting and she understands she left the toaster on and it has burst into flames. She is stressed over this. She sends Jack to bed. He ponders, when he dreams, where he goes. She lets him know he is generally there. A latch code is punched and Jack remains quiet in his cabinet. Old Scratch comes in with food. He gets some information about the smell and she lets him know she consumed the sandwiches she was making and she wasn't thinking. He tells her reasoning was never one of her solid places. At the point when she gets some information about something missing from the sacks, Old Scratch lashes out with her and says it's difficult to need to accommodate the two of them. He tells her he was laid off a half-year prior and inquires as to whether she knows that purchasing things without an income is so difficult. She inquires as to whether he's been searching for a task and he lashes out with her. In the cabinet, Jack mixes, watching the contention. Old Scratch sees and inquires as to whether he's truly sleeping in there. He attempts to demonstrate he is conscious by advising Jack to come out in light of the fact that he has treats. However, before Jack can take the snare, Mama baits Scratch to the bed. Sometime thereafter, Jack escapes his pantry and pussyfoots over to Mama's bed. Old Scratch is still sleeping close to her. Jack peers over to take a gander at Scratch, who then wakes up. He jumps for Ray's, however Mama wakes and hurls herself on top of Scratch. He bludgeons her, permitting Jack to get away. Scratch stomps off and Jack starts wailing, telling his mother he realizes he shouldn't leave the pantry and he won't ever do it from this point forward. The following morning, Lift wakes in Mama's bed and notification he can see his breath. Whenever Mama awakens, he brings up this to her, telling his mother he's a one-winged serpent. Mama acknowledges Scratch has cut the power. They are uninformed and the radiator is off so they are freezing. They wrap up in covers. Mama puts Jack down and inquires as to whether he needs to know where the mouse pursued he left the room. She attempts to make sense of the mouse as outside, on the opposite side of the wall. Jack inquires as to whether she implies space with the television individuals. According to she, no, that wasn't accurate. He was more youthful, thus she made up a story that he'd see yet presently he is 5 and ought to know reality. Once more, she attempts, letting him know there are different sides to everything. According to he, not an octagon, that has 8 sides. She said yet every wall has another side and on the opposite side are structures and individuals and trees and a house with a lounger that she used to reside in. That when she was 17, a man told her he had a wiped-out canine to bait him into his guardianship. Jack intrudes, getting some information about the canine. She shouts there was no canine. She attempts to make sense of that there is a world external the room that he's carried on with in his entire life, yet Jack can't conceptualize this as he has seen nothing past that room. She makes sense of that the television individuals are pictures of genuine individuals. He inquires as to whether Dora, the pilgrim, is genuine and she says, no, she is an animation. Yet, individuals are genuine and they're all outside. He calls her a liar. She lets him know the things she said before were completely false and presently she's attempting to lie. He says he wants to be 4 once more. He proposes she lets him know these things when he's 6 rather than 5. After some time, the power is betrayed. A leaf falls on the lookout window and Mama brings up this. Jack doesn't accept it since leaves on television are green, however she sees they are green on trees yet become earthy colored when they tumble off and decay. Mama tells Jack she has an arrangement to get him out. She bubbles water on the oven and says she will persuade old Scratch that he is wiped out. He will assume him to a position called an emergency clinic where there are individuals around. Jack will give a note to anyone he finds in the emergency clinic and let them know his mother's name, since she made certain to have been a prominent capture casualty. Jack is anxious on the grounds that he's never seen a genuine individual and doesn't exactly have the foggiest idea what's in store. He inquires as to why they don't simply hurt old Scratch and afterward escape. Mama said she attempted once. Quite a while back she took the latrine cover off and when he came inside, she attempted to crush it over his head. In any case, he got her and harmed her wrist and that is the reason it's been not doing so great his entire life. The time is now for old Scratch to come in so she pours the boiling water all over, which makes him shout however she attempts to mitigate him, letting him know he should claim to be debilitated and act floppy. She then, at that point, drives herself to regurgitation and spreads it around Jack's cushion, which monstrosities him out. At the point when old Scratch comes in, Mama professes to be crazy, making sense of that Jack became ill when the power was switched off and they were left exposed. Old Scratch noticed that Lift is consuming and says he'll get a few antimicrobials the following day. However, Mama demands he takes Jack to a trauma center since it is pressing. He denies. The following day, Mama says she has another arrangement. Jack will claim to be dead rather than floppy, he'll be firm similar to a robot. She will move him up in a carpet and old Scratch will place Jack toward the rear of a truck. He will feel development and unroll himself in the carpet. There will be a long stop and that is when Jack needs to leap out and race to the primary individual he sees, requesting help. She moves him in the mat however too firmly so he can't unwind himself. She attempts it once more where he is all the more approximately wrapped and he can get himself out. Jack observes some television and is currently ready to perceive that individuals he sees are genuine individuals being shot, albeit the kids' shows are, as a matter of fact, not genuine. He is at long last starting to comprehend. They are talking about the arrangement with her rehashing again and again that he will unwind, leap out when the truck stops, and afterward track down help. She advises him to picture his mother's voice giving him direction despite the fact that they'll be separated. At the point when he inquires as to whether she will go along with him in the rest of the world, She concurs, however it is clear she doesn't completely accept that she will endure once Old Scratch acknowledges she has fooled him into allowing Jack to get away. All of a sudden, they hear the latch and Mama must rush to move Ray's into the carpet. She completes similarly as Scratch enters, telling her he has the antitoxins. Yet Mama starts crying, saying that he killed Jack when he switched the power off. She implores him to give Jack a legitimate entombment in the forest, some spot with trees. Scratch concurs and gets lift in the moved carpet. The floor covering is stacked into the rear of Old Scratch's pickup truck, similarly according to plan. He drives off to cover Jack in the forest. From inside the carpet, Jack feels the truck ease back and eventually stop. He starts to disentangle and is effective at letting himself out of the mat. Old Scratch rolls through 2 stop signs, then continues over railroad tracks. Jack chooses then to stand up and leap out.